solar energy. So this presentation divided into two parts. One is basically on forecasting, another is on controller design for this grid integration, how to address this intermittency issue, and aging of DC link capacitor. So how we can move out of the situation when there is aging due to DC link capacitor and also intermittency. So first we'll discuss regarding forecasting technique. So first is nowadays people are more concerned about this climatic change and global warming, and their main concern is about environmental impacts of generating electricity, means in which way you are generating electricity, what is its impact on an environment. This is one of the challenging issue nowadays. So that's why in this era, so we are moving on to renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, hydroelectric, biomass, tidal, such as means these provide as a greener solution to generate electricity. But one main aspect in solar PV generation is the uncertainty of solar PV generation, which results in the need of larger energy storage device. So again, it involves cost. So this energy storage device is required to regulate the power output. So when there is change in solar irradiance, why solar irradiance changes? When cloud covers sun. So when large cloud cover the sunlight, then the power output of PV may drop. Means again we divide cloud into thick cloud, thin cloud, clear sky like this. But these analysis are for imaging analysis. So overall, when a cloud covers sunlight or sun, then we'll get less irradiance. So when we'll get less irradiance, then our solar PV output drop drastically. If solar PV output drop drastically, and if you don't have any other storage device, then it affects our system frequency and voltage. So this is one of the major issues. So in this scenario, energy storage alone might not be possible to feed the electricity grid, and require some ancillary services to meet the change in electricity supply. So if you will provide energy storage, then there may be more cost involved. So that's why some technique or some ancillary services we have to go for in order to meet the change in electricity supply. So there is requirement of solar irradiance forecasting to predict the change in solar PV generation output. Means after some hour or after 24 hour or after 1 day, after 5 day or after 15 day, what should be our solar irradiance? If we predict, then accordingly, if you know our solar irradiance, then the operators will be able to take in time preventive measure, and this thing they can reflect in their scheduling, dispatching and regulation of power. So this solar irradiance forecasting is very much necessary so that the operators will know beforehand, means what is the PV power after some days or after some hour, then accordingly they may go for some other generation. If PV power is less, means if they will be able to know that after 10 hours, after 15 hours PV power output is this much, then they may go for some other generation so that they can take in time preventive measure in their scheduling, dispatching and regulation of power. So this is just a schematic how to forecast global solar insolation. So first of all, there is collection of monthly average daily global solar insolation data. Means daily global solar insolation data we may get from Indian Meteorological Site. Daily global solar insolation data. From that we can find out the monthly average. So this is collection of monthly average daily global solar insolation data. So this you can find out from the site. If you go for this Indian subcontinent, then Indian Meteorological Site you can find out, or similarly if you go for other country you can also find out from their meteorological site what is the global solar insolation per day. So from that you can find out what is the monthly average. And this thing is extraterrestrial horizontal insolation. What is extraterrestrial horizontal insolation? Means horizontal insolation without atmospheric effect. Extraterrestrial stands for without atmospheric effect. So if you want to find out the what is the horizontal insolation at a place in particular place, then that place has some latitude of location, and on which day you are finding out that is day of the year. So a model is there. So if you provide latitude of location, then day of the year, then it will give you, or you can calculate using that model what is extraterrestrial horizontal insolation. That's that thing in detail we'll discuss in subsequent slides. So first thing is we have to calculate this H0 or extraterrestrial horizontal insolation based on the place, based on the which day we are calculating. And another thing is we can calculate this monthly average daily global solar insolation data from the meteorological site. So after finding out these two things, so just take the ratio monthly average global solar insolation divided by this extraterrestrial horizontal insolation. That will give us this monthly average daily clearness index. It is denoted by KT. So in this way, you can find out KT. So after finding out KT, then from the data of KT, we have to model the KT. That is, next step is modeling of KT. In that modeling of KT, so how to model, and in that how to find out unknown parameter, that we'll discuss in the subsequent slides. So in the modeling of the KT, we'll find out these unknown parameters. So what are the unknown parameters to find out, that also we'll discuss. So this unknown parameter we can find out using different algorithms, that is recursive least square, Kalman filter. These are the very preliminary signal processing techniques or say system identification techniques. Then here I proposed, or our proposed algorithm is ensemble Kalman filtering algorithm, that is ENKF. So using different algorithms, we will update our unknown parameters from the model of KT. So after updating this unknown parameter, that is final estimate of, we'll estimate KT using any one algorithm, first RLS, then Kalman filter, then our proposed algorithm ensemble Kalman filter. So using each algorithm, we'll find out the final estimate of KT. So after finding out this final estimate of KT, this KT multiplied with H0, extraterrestrial horizontal insolation, whatever you have calculated, that will give us the estimated or forecasted value of global solar insolation. So this is the schematic how to find out the global solar insolation, and each step we'll discuss in detail. First is regarding that H0 calculation, that is extraterrestrial horizontal insolation calculation, and also KT calculation. So as discussed, monthly average of daily global solar insolation data are normally available for several locations in a region. For example, in India, in meteorological site, it is available. Now, data should be collected such that it covers a large area of latitude. Means, for example, if you will find out, or if you will develop a model for Indian subcontinent, then you have to collect data covering a large area of latitude. Means you have to take data from north, south, east, west, central, from all the portion, and with a variation of latitude, large variation of latitude, you have to collect data. Then only your model will be more accurate. So these data are then reduced to the normal average daily clearness index KT. Means we have already discussed how to find out this step. Means KT you have to find out. Monthly average global solar insolation, then this H0, then you have to find out KT. So this KT we have to find out. So for calculation of KT, this H0 is required. Then how to calculate H0? This is the model. What is H0? H0 is extraterrestrial horizontal insolation per day at a place is the insolation on a horizontal surface at a place without atmospheric effect. So extraterrestrial means without atmospheric effect. How much is the horizontal insolation per day? That is H0. This extraterrestrial horizontal insolation is a function of latitude and day of the year. We have already discussed or we have already seen in the schematic. We have to give input that latitude and day of the year. Then using this model H0, we will find out H0. So in this model, what you have to know? We have to know I0, phi, delta, omega SR. If you know this thing, then using this model, we can find out what is H0. And what is I0? In that expression, I0 is required. I0 is extraterrestrial irradiance, that is kilowatt per meter square. And this I0 having this expression. So ISC and this N is there. So this N is the day of the year. Means, for example, if you are calculating on January 1st, then you have to take N equals to 1. If you are calculating December 31st, then you have to take N equal to 365. So in this way, you can find out I0. So in that I0, ISC is called solar constant. You have to take this value. So what is solar constant? It is the rate at which energy reaches the Earth's surface from the sun. So putting ISC N value, so you can find out I0. Then phi are the latitude of the location in degree that you have to input. Other parameters required are delta, omega, SR. Delta, this is the expression for finding out delta. Delta is called declination angle in degree. So this declination angle varies seasonally due to tilt of Earth on its axis of rotation and also rotation of Earth around the sun. Tilt of Earth on its own axis and also rotation of Earth on its around the sun. Based on that, this delta value changes, which is called declination angle. And this omega SR is called hour angle at sunrise in radian. So what is hour angle? How to calculate hour angle? At solar noon, the hour angle is 0 degree. Means at 12 o'clock in the noon, we assume that or we consider that hour angle is 0 degree. Before solar noon, expressed as negative, and after solar noon, expressed as positive. So that means, for example, what is hour angle when time is 10:30 a.m. So when time is 10:30 a.m., it is 15 degree. It is time is 10:30 a.m. So 15 degree per hour, 24 hour and 360. So 15 degree per hour, and this is minus 22.5 degrees. 15 plus 7.5. So minus 22.5 degree. We can call that hour angle. So omega SR also calculated from this expression cos inverse minus tan phi and tan delta. If tan delta you know, phi you know, so you can find out omega SR also. So in this way, omega SR, delta, I0, phi, N we know, and finally we can calculate H0 for a particular location for a particular day. So this is the model to find out extraterrestrial horizontal insolation. It can be calculated for any location and for any day. Now, in this here we have not taken the atmospheric effect, had not been taken into account in this H0 analysis. So atmospheric effect at a place on the insolation is determined by this clearness index KT. So KT is responsible for providing information regarding the atmospheric effect. So this KT is called clearness index. So that's why we have to give input what is KT for a particular location for a particular day, so that we can provide input to atmospheric effect, because we cannot avoid that atmospheric effect while finding out the insolation. This KT is a stochastic parameter. It depends on time of the year climatic condition, season, and geographical location. So in order to include the atmospheric effect, we have to go for this clearness index or KT model. So what is the necessity of KT? Because in the H0 calculation, we have not taken into account the atmospheric effect. But since atmospheric effect is always there, so we have to consider as atmospheric effect. That's why KT will come into picture. So we have to go for this clearness index model or KT model. For modeling of KT, the data on the insolation on a horizontal surface over a period of time covering all season climatic conditions for a few locations are to be measured. Means before developing the KT model, you have to take or you have to consider data over a period of time, means maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, whatever, over a period of time, over all the seasons and over different climatic conditions, we have to take data. And from different locations also. Based on the calculated values of this extraterrestrial horizontal insolation for location and measured global insolation on a horizontal surface for the same location, KT for these locations are computed. So how KT computed, we have already discussed. That means we have to consider, we have to find out H0, then we have to take into account that monthly average, that this value, this calculation of monthly average daily global solar insolation, this thing we have to find out from for maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, so many years and different location, different climatic condition. These data we have to take and H0 data, then KT will find out this divided by H0. In this way, we will find out so many KT values. After finding out KT values, we have to plot KT versus day of the year. So then we have to see whether it is a periodic function or not. So KT versus day of the year indicates that the variation of KT over a period of 1 year is a periodic function with a periodicity of 1 year. This figure shows variation of KT, which is a periodic function, that is C from January to December, then again repetition start from December to January. So this KT is a periodic function over a year. So then Fourier series are considered as an appropriate curve fitting technique for modeling of this KT. So now comes how to model KT. So let us represent KT by the following Fourier series. KT equals to, let this is the function and this is the error. So while modeling, always you have to consider this error. So this is the function. This function comprises of all these A parameters and T. So A1, A2 sin T, A3 sin 2T, A4 sin 3T, like this, and also cos component. So arguments of the trigonometric term T are functions of the day of the year n. See T, this is the expression of T, that is 2 pi by 360 n minus 80. So this T is a function of day of the year, means n is the day of the year. And X is there means in this slide, this A, whatever you have considered A1, A2 capital, these A are actually function of this X. So that means again this X is 5 minus 35. 35 is for Indian subcontinent, this is the offset value. So finally, this A1, A2, A7, these are functions of phi and W, precipitable water vapor content. In the next slide we will see. So before that, this F is in the form of all the Fourier coefficients, A coefficients, and T is there. T is a function of n, and again A coefficients are function of this A coefficients are function of S and W. Again X depend on phi. So finally A coefficients depend on phi and W. That is written. Means A1 to A7 functions of phi and W. W is total precipitable water vapor in gram per centimeter square. So this Fxwt we can represent in this way. Fxwt equals to A1 plus this is A2 sin t. So A1, then this is A2 sin t, A3 sin 2t, like this. So this is A1, capital, that is in general, capital AI in terms of small a, this is the expression. If you will go for A1, then small a11, small a12, small a13, small a14, small a15. So this is capital A1. Similarly, capital A2, this expression, capital A3 like this. So this one is the capital A7. Now our model is in the form of this one. Now, in order to implement any signal processing technique or system identification technique, so there you have to find out or you have to estimate our unknown parameter. So for that, whatever signal we have to, or whatever model you have to break into a regressor form, or you have to write the model in regressor form. Regressor form means product of two things. So if you will multiply these two things, you will get the expression. So that means this fxwt whatever, this we have to form, we have to write this one into a regressor form. So this is regressor form. This fxwt can be modeled into product of two things. One is the system structure matrix, another is the vector of unknown parameter. That means if you will multiply these two, h and theta, you will get this fxwt. So now what is theta and what is h? So theta is the vector of unknown parameter. So using any one of the signal processing technique, we have to update our theta, that is vector of unknown parameter, so that error becomes 0. Our objective is to make error become 0 so that we will get our updated unknown parameter. That is the fundamental thing in any signal processing or signal processing or system identification technique. So this model means this thing we have divided into h into theta form. So what is h and what is theta? Theta is all the small a coefficients, a11, a12, a13, a14, a15. So this a small a matrix is theta and rest of the things, this is h. So when you multiply h into theta, you will get this signal. So since our theta is the small a coefficients, if you will update theta, then we will get updated value of small a coefficient. That is our objective. So this theta, vector of unknown parameter, we have to update using any one of the signal processing technique. So let us first update this theta using very known signal processing or system identification technique, that is called recursive least square. So these are the steps for recursive least square. Means final step is theta updated equals to theta previous value plus gain matrix and error. What is this error? Error is the that f value, means what f xwt, that is say fk, multiplied with that h theta. Previous instant how much h theta you have multiplied, so you will get a signal. So that f subtracted with the estimated, means actual minus estimated, will give you this error. And this is gain updation in RLS. So gain k is related with covariance of parameter vector, that is p. So in the gain matrix, this p has to be updated, and p has to be updated using this relation. And in this p updation, there is one eta. This is called forgetting factor. In RLS, we have to use that forgetting factor that lies between 0 to 1, maybe close to 1.9 something. So it is a factor while you are updating something, then at what rate you are forgetting the previous thing, so that you are adapting the new things. That is the concept of forgetting factor. Means if you are adapting to some new situation or some new things, that means at what rate you are forgetting the previous things or old things. That is called forgetting factor. So that is used in the recursive least square algorithm for updation of this p. updation of covariance of parameter vector P. See, the choice of initial covariance matrix P, we have to take a large value. P equals to alpha into I is an square identity matrix, and alpha value you have to take a large number, maybe in 1000 or 100, means you have to take a large number. That means initially this P value will be more. So when you will get final updated value, then P will be very less. So the steps are like this. We have to update covariance matrix. We have to update this gain. Then finally, and error also updated. And finally, this unknown vector theta is updated. So these are the steps using RLS updation. Next is same thing, that same regressor form S theta. Here the Kalman filter updation, final updation equation is this one. Theta hat k equals to this theta hat k minus 1. This is the previous instant, or you may take this is theta hat k plus 1 equal to theta hat k like this. So this is the final updation value of theta, and in this final updation value, similar to RLS, gain is to be updated and covariance matrix is to be updated, and finally theta is to be updated. So these are the steps in Kalman filter. And next is our proposed algorithm, that is ensemble Kalman filter. So before using ensemble Kalman filter, we have to discuss why we have to go for this ensemble Kalman filter when Kalman filter already is there. So if we are able to estimate using Kalman filter, then what is the necessity for switching to ensemble Kalman filter? Ensemble Kalman filter can be applied by replacing the state covariance matrix P in conventional Kalman gain matrix by the sample covariance C. So in the Kalman filter we have seen that is state covariance matrix P is there. This P is there. But here in the ensemble Kalman filter, this P is replaced by sample covariance C computed from ensemble members or ensemble vectors. How to compute ensemble sample covariance C from ensemble members, that we'll see in next slides. Corresponding covariance matrix is called ensemble covariance. So whatever conventional covariance matrix used in RLS and Kalman filter, here we are using ensemble covariance. When the number of unknowns to be determined becomes more, then computational feasibility of covariance matrix P in case of Kalman filter for high dimensional system becomes uncertain and suffers from singularity problem. So it is saying when unknown parameter means theta matrix is large, when number of unknown parameter become more, then computational feasibility of covariance in KF become high dimensional. See, when theta is large, then this P determination and this P determination depend on G determination. In G determination, this inverse is there. So when the unknown parameter to be determined become large, then this large matrix inverse determination is required. So that means calculation become more complex. So huge computational time in Kalman filter due to huge matrix multiplication required to evaluate covariance. To avoid this difficulty, sample covariance is introduced in ensemble Kalman filtering in gain matrix instead of state covariance matrix P. So that means if our unknown parameter to be determined is more, then our gain matrix dimension is more. And that since in the gain matrix calculation that inverse calculation is required, so high dimensional matrix inverse calculation become more complex and may goes to or may suffer from singularity problem. So in order to move out of this situation, we have to go for sample covariance. What is sample covariance? How to calculate? That we will discuss in ensemble Kalman filtering. So here theta, which is our unknown vector or unknown parameter, is updated using ensemble Kalman filtering. take the ensemble matrix theta and the data matrix F. F means FXWT, that called data matrix. Ensemble matrix theta, which is a big matrix, that is all the A coefficients. Ensemble mean and covariance, how to find out? Ensemble mean equals to 1 by Q, number of ensemble. If our number of ensemble is, say, maybe for each A, there are 5, 6 small A coefficients, and 7 into 6, there may be 42, that number of ensemble. So 1 by that value into this one, theta n, 1 to that number. So that means ensemble mean. Then ensemble covariance equals to G transpose by Q minus 1. What is G? G equals to theta value minus expectation or mean value. So in this way, we'll find out G value. After finding out G value, we can find out C value. After finding out C value, H is known, R is the error covariance. We can update this theta parameter using this formula. This is the ensemble Kalman filtering steps, how to update this unknown parameters. So in this way, all the unknown parameter means small a coefficients are updated. So that means our theta is updated. After finding out the updated value of theta means all the small a coefficients. So these coefficients are used to obtain our Fourier coefficients. What is our Fourier coefficients? Capital A1 to A7. This capital A1 comprises of so many small a1s. This A2 comprises so many small a coefficients. Since we have found out or updated all the small a coefficients, we will be able to find out all the capital A coefficients, which are nothing but the Fourier coefficients. So after finding out the Fourier coefficients, we will find out our KT value, which is this expression. We've already found out all the A coefficients, so we can find out KT value. So after finding out KT value, H0 of a particular place, particular day, we have calculated using our model. That H0 multiplied with KT will give our forecasted value of global solar insolation. So in this way, we'll find out forecasted value of global solar insolation. So these are the steps for finding out whatever we have discussed. These are the algorithm steps. Load data set of KT for particular region, input day of the year, latitude phi, this W, then calculate declination angle delta, hour angle omega SR, extraterrestrial horizontal H0. So these are the steps. Then we'll come to our ensemble Kalman filtering steps. Initialize number of unknown parameter or ensemble. This is not X, this should be theta. Then model clearness index KT in parametric form, that is H theta. Then evaluate estimation error. Then calculate mean and covariance, that is E and C. Then obtain estimate of ensemble vector, means theta updation. If iteration is not reached, go to step 6. Evaluate error. If iteration reached, then iteration reached means updated value of theta obtained. Updated value of theta obtained means small a coefficient obtained. Small a coefficient obtained means capital A coefficient known. Capital A known means KT we can find out. So KT we can find out, and H0 already calculated. So H0 into KT will give us this forecasted value. So in this way, forecasted value of using all the algorithms we have found out. Now these are the location from which we have considered or taken data for model development. See a variation of latitude. 12 location from India we have taken data. That is, latitude will vary from 8.48 to maximum value say 28.58. So such a large variation of latitude we have to collect data, then only model will be more accurate. So these are the data taken from different location, means previous slide showed different location, and these are the data, means say for January n equal to 15 means middle day of January, for A place to L place, 12 location, say measured value of insolation is 4.94 and water vapor, that precipitable water vapor data is 1.67. In this way we have taken all the data, measure value and measure value of this insulation and water vapor. These are the just data taken. These are the results obtained. So measured and estimated or forecasted value of insulation using fast recursive least square algorithm. So using recursive least square algorithm, say for example, this is location I, measure value in January say 4.15, we have predicted 4.2. February 5.19, say our prediction is 4.61. March 6.34, 6.92, like this for all the locations. This is the comparison of measured data and estimated or forecasted data. Similarly, for using Kalman filter, these are the measured data, these are the forecasted data. Similarly, for using ensemble Kalman filter, these are the measured data, different location, these are the locations, measured data, forecasted data, measured data, forecasted data, this comparison. Now, say CTI, which is in the northern part. So it will plot the day of the year versus global solar insolation or irradiance. Say dotted line shows our measured and estimated value using RLS, Kalman filter and ensemble Kalman filter. Red, green and solid black. So see, so ensemble Kalman filter is approaching more accurately as compared to other two algorithm for CTI. And this is a CTK estimation using three algorithms, measured data. This is the comparison of measured data and estimation using all algorithms. And it is seen that ensemble Kalman filtering estimation is more accurate as compared to other. That also we'll see from error calculation or error analysis in the subsequent slides. This is similarly a CTD, which is eastern part. So why you are showing different part? Because we have to claim that at whatever part we may analyze, we'll see that our estimated value is closely approaching our measured value, and out of this which algorithm is better, that we can find out here also and also in detail from error analysis. So this is similarly for CTC, that is in western part, measured value and estimated or forecasted value using different algorithms. This is CTH in the central portion or central area. So these are the measured and estimated value. So error analysis, from this we will find out whether which algorithm is better out of all these three. So that's why we have considered three indexes, that is one is mean absolute percentage error, say MAP, another is mean square error, MSE, and another is correlation coefficient R. So this is one of the important parameter, correlation coefficient R. How much this estimated value or forecasted value approaching the close means actual one, will also get idea from R coefficient. So this is the equation to find out, or the expression to find out MAP. This is the solar insolation, that is measured value. F means forecasted value divided by measured value. Means measured minus forecasted by measured 1 by n, that is mean absolute percentage error. Similarly, mean square error, measured minus forecasted square, then take the mean 1 by n. N is the number of data. Similarly, R coefficients we will find out using this formula. Total number of data, this is measured, means product of measured and forecasted minus summation of measured into summation of forecasted. Then total number into measured square minus sum of measured square minus sum of HTM square. Here n into this one, here HTM square. Similarly, n into HTF summation, HTF square summation minus summation of HTF square. This is the expression or formula to find out error, means correlation coefficients R. So these are the different CT, means say A, B, C, D, E, different CT, whatever we have discussed. So this city using this algorithm RLS, KF, N7 Kalman, 5 city we have discussed. That means north, south, east, west, central. So these are the 3 algorithms, and these are the MAPE percentage, MSC, and R coefficient. So from this we may see that ENKF estimation for say city 1 city is 2.4, very much reduced, and MSC also reduced for this area or for this city. Similarly, ENKF estimation for this out of these 3 is reduced, and MSC also reduced. Similarly, we may check for other cities also. And regarding R coefficient, when R value closely approaches to 1, then we may say that our measured value or the forecasted value is more approaching our accurate, means exact value. So R value C here 0.986 is more among these 3. Here 0.7661 more among these 3. So like this, if R value is 0.7 to 0.9, then we may claim that our estimated value or forecasted value is closely approaching our exact value or accurate value. This is the comparison, means say this style is for RLS, this is for Kalman filter, this is for ensemble. Means this is for RLS, this is for Kalman filter, this is for ensemble Kalman filter, and these 3 for location A or first location. These 3 for location second. These 3 for location third. Like this. So in each location we may see that ENKF, this MAPE percentage is less. Out of these 3, this is less. Out of these 3, this is less. This is regarding MAPE analysis. This is regarding MSE, mean square error analysis. For first location, this is less. For second location also, this is less. This is means ensemble Kalman filter estimation is less. And this is regarding error coefficient, whatever we have seen in the tabular form that we are showing here in this graph. So this here ENKF estimation, this is more value, means R value more means more accurate. So out of these 3, means for location, first location, this is highest. For second location, this is highest. So like this, R coefficient is also more in case of ENKF estimation. Next is, we have to claim that our algorithm or our model can be used in any location, in anywhere in the world. For that, we have to consider, or we have to prove that this is robust. So for that, we have to consider a city X whose data not included in the model. Means, for example, we have taken data from 12 location and we have estimated out of 12 location, 5 location we have estimated. But this city X, that is another city in India, from where we have not taken data, but we are forecasting data. While developing model, we have not taken its data, but in order to prove it that it is robust and it can be used anywhere, we have to find out whether this is applicable, means whatever algorithm we developed, applicable for this forecasting at an unknown city or not. So these are the measured values. These are the estimated values using RLS, estimated value using Kalman filter, estimated value using ensemble Kalman filter. So we have also seen that using ensemble Kalman filter, this is approaching more accurately to the measured value. And these are the analysis, MAPE, MSE and R analysis, just like previous cities we have discussed. Here also MAPE is less in case of ensemble Kalman filter. MSE is also less in case of ensemble Kalman filter, and R coefficient is high among all these 3 in case of ensemble Kalman filter. So the conclusion for this portion is forecasted value of insolation using ensemble Kalman filtering method is more accurate and closely matching with the measured value. And we can claim that this method can be used for any region in the world for forecasting solar insolation. What is the proof? The proof is that we have taken data from some cities and we have measured this value, verified, and also we have verified one city from which data not taken during the model development. Then for getting more accuracy in forecasting, measured data should be taken covering large range of latitude that we have already discussed. Here we have taken 8 point some value latitude to 28.48 or something like that. So for a large range we have to collect data. Data should be more accurate as possible in order to calculate global solar installation for a specific day and for a specific location. So nowadays, with the help of satellites, data for a certain region can be taken with good accuracy. So if our data is more accurate, then using proposed ensemble Kalman filtering algorithm, we can find out the more accurate value of Fourier coefficient so that we can get accurate value of KT. If you will get accurate value of KT, then we can get the more accurate forecast, means more accurate forecast of the global solar installation. These are the references. Okay, so this is regarding forecasting of global solar installation using our three methods or algorithms, and which one is better, that also we have verified. So if you have any doubt, you may ask here, then we'll move on to next discussion. No doubt, nothing.
Any queries from participation end? Any queries from participation end? Okay, so I hope there is no queries from their end, sir.
Okay, okay. If there will any query, they may ask, they may
Yes,
mail
yes,
me,
please.
or they may ask me later on also.
Go ahead,
During these 5
chat.
days, they may ask me also.
Yes.
Okay. Next discussion is, here we will discuss a grid integration issue of photovoltaic, but we will tackle the issue mainly two things: uncertainty in insolation, and another thing is that aging of capacitor, how the aging of DC capacitor, how it affects performance. For that we have to develop controller, and also to tackle the uncertainty, means if solar insolation varies, that is one type of uncertainty. So in that case, how we can tackle this situation in the grid integration case, that we'll discuss. That is a self-tuned adaptation rate Lyapunov based voltage controller for a grid connected PV system. So the control structure of PV system is like this. Photovoltaic is connected through the inverter. This is the DC link capacitor. This is the grid, and these are the RL filter, and these are the all controller structure, which includes MPPT, photovoltaic voltage controller, and grid current controller, and other DQ to ABC transfer, PLL, ABC DQ, all these controller part is this one. And this is the photovoltaic connected to through inverter to the grid, and these are the filters, RL filter, and this is the DC link capacitor. So here MPPT algorithm incremental conductance is used to generate reference PV voltage, that is V reference. And this voltage controller, that is outer loop, this PV voltage controller is the outer loop. It tracks V reference and generate current reference, that is FPV, for current controller, that is inner loop. The main function or objective of outer loop is to track V reference and to generate current reference, that is FPV, for current controller. Then our self-tuned adaptation based self-tuned Lyapunov-based adaptation controller STLBSC, that Lyapunov-based controller to regulate PV voltage, and PI controller in GCC, PI controller grid current controller converter to regulate the grid current. So this STLBSC regulate PV voltage, PI controller in this GCC to regulate the grid current. So main objective are means the influencing factor for achieving PV voltage tracking. Two influencing factor. One is intermittent solar irradiance and uncertainty in DC link capacitor. Uncertainty means when DC link capacitor becomes old, that is aged DC link capacitor, how the performance degrades. That also we'll see. How we'll develop controller to tackle this issue. So here self-tuned adaptation gain enable Lyapunov-based adaptive controller, that is STLBSC. Self-tuned adaptation gain enable Lyapunov-based adaptive controller used for three-phase grid-tied PV system GTPVS. So by using this STLBSC, the improved performance of grid-tied PV system are achieved under uncertainty, that is DC link capacitor and irradiance. So most important thing is here, gains of the controller are adapted online by a Lyapunov-based adaptation mechanism to control the PV voltage. And adaptation gain of Lyapunov-based adaptation mechanism is self-tuned by PI controller. These are the two important things. Gains of the controller are adapted by Lyapunov-based adaptation mechanism, and adaptation gain of Lyapunov-based adaptation mechanism is self-tuned. That's why the name is STLBSC. This is our grid-tied PV inverter, means photovoltaic is there, PV inverter, this is connected to grid, these are the coupling filter. So using KVL time variant equation or model is developed, means here L dia by dt voltage across this is equal to voltage, this voltage minus voltage across the resistance minus each phase voltage EA. So in this way these equations are derived, and this has been derived using KCL. C by dt equals to IPV minus all these currents. So this is the time variant equation. So from the time variant equation using Parkes transformation you can find out this dq domain equation, that is id dot, iq dot and vpv dot. These two is derived from equation 1 using Parkes transformation. And another thing is here there is interdependency of dq current. id and iq currents are interdependent. See id, in the id expression iq is there, iq expression id is there. So in order to move out this situation, the decoupling of id and iq are done using feed forward decoupling technique. So this VRD, VRQ are this equation for making this id iq decouple, means id will not depend on iq will not depend on. So that's why decoupling is done. So if this is the VRD expression minus L omega iq minus ed plus VPV SD. This ED-EQ are Parkes transformation of EABC, SD-SQ are Parkes transformation of SABC, like this. So VRD, VRQ expression are like this. So using these expressions here in equation 2, we will get equation 3. So for example, ID dot equals to minus R by L ID minus this expression is nothing but VRD by L. Here L should be required, L is not written. So here L should be there, VRD by L, and here similarly VRQ by L. So this concept are included here, and we are getting ID dot and IQ dot. And also FPV, that is, what is FPV? FPV is the current reference for current controller. This FPV, current reference for current controller, this FPV is nothing but IPV minus 3 by 2 IQ SQ. So here in this expression, putting ID equal to 0 for a balanced grid, So id equal to 0 means this portion goes to 0. So C VPV dot equals to IPV by C minus this one, and IPV by C minus this one is nothing but FPV. So CPV dot CVPV dot equals to FPV. So in this way, equation 3 is we have derived using this decoupling effect, that is using equation 4. Now we have to develop that STL-BSC for grid connected PV system. For that, the DC-link dynamics, which is nothing but C dVc by dt. C dVc by dt, that is called DC-link dynamics. DC-link dynamics, which is C VPV dot, is FPV. What is FPV? This is equivalent reference to the current controller. So our desired tracking path for VPV from this reference we have taken, already published in IT Smart Grid. Desired tracking path. So this VPVM by T equals to minus IM VPVM plus BM VPV reference. This AM and BM, these are regarding this settling time, damping, taking this thing, these coefficients AM, BM depend on settling time and damping. So tracking error, which is fed to our controller, is basically this VPVM minus actual VPV. So then PV voltage control law, we have to devise or derive like this: FPV equals to beta 1 VPV reference, beta 1 V reference, beta 2 VPV, beta 3 psi 1, beta 4 psi 2. And what about all these betas are called adaptation parameter, psi 1, psi 2 are stable parameter. So using this, we have to develop our PV control law, so which is nothing but FPV. Now, if E expression is like this, equation 6, then differentiating equation 6, d by dt, what you will get? d VPVM minus VPV dot. Then what is d VPVM? d VPVM is this one. So if you will differentiate this equation, first we have to get this one. This is first one, that is d VPVM by dt. Then another thing is minus VPV dot. What is VPV dot? VPV dot from this C dVP by dt. So here VPV dot equal to FPV by C. So VPV dot FPV by C. FPV is this one. So VPV dot equal to this by C. So 1 by C of this one. So now we'll get error dynamics d by dt equal to this value. This is our error dynamics. So we have to develop the Lyapunov candidate function to derive our adaptation control law. That is our objective for PV voltage control. Our objective is to develop adaptive control laws for PV voltage control. So for that, Lyapunov candidate function is to be taken like this: V, which is a function of E, all these betas equals to this one. Then from this we will find out V dot. So V differentiating this one, we will find out V dot this expression. Then parameter adaptation law are chosen such that this V dot should be equals to less than equal to 0. So V dot should be less than equal to 0. You have to choose parameter adaptation laws such that this V dot should be less than equal to 0. So how to choose? That is, these are our choice. Means beta 1 dot equal to this value, beta 2 dot equal to this value, beta 3 dot equal to this value. If we will choose all these beta value, then we will get V dot less than equal to 0. That is our requirement. So where k is greater than 0 is the adaptation gain. Then another checking is V double dot equals to, from V dot we will find out V double dot. Differentiating V dot. So V double dot is bounded. We have checked this one. This is bounded. So its detail is given in that IIT Smart Grid paper, this 5 reference. And this V double dot we have checked, it is bounded as E and all the beta coefficients are bounded. This checking of E beta coefficient bounded also checked. So as E and all the beta coefficients are bounded, V double dot is bounded. So V dot tends to 0, that is as per Barber lemma, this V dot tends to 0, and this E that means error tends to 0. So V dot tends to 0, that is error tends to 0 when t tends to infinity. That is our requirement, and we have achieved like this. When time goes to infinity, if our error becomes 0, that is our requirement. We should not get error when more time. So in this way, we have checked that this is our Lyapunov candidate function, and we have checked that V dot tends to 0 and error tends to 0 when t tends to infinity. So the adaptation gain k. So we have seen that all this in the beta coefficient, all these k are there, these k are there. So this adaptation gain k improves the performance of adaptive controller, but only thing is when it is high value of k causes high frequency oscillation, low value of k causes continuous sustained oscillation. That's why you have to make a compromise between high and low. So that's why k is tuned online through a PI controller. We have checked that if high value of k, more oscillation, low value of k, that is sustained oscillation. So that's why we have to make a compromise. So here we have gone for this online tuning of PI parameter, where VPV tracking error E is taken as input to PI controller. VPV tracking error taken as input to PI controller for tuning the K parameters. So output of PI controller is passed through an absolute function error to make K positive. So this we'll see in the next slide how this passed through one absolute function to make K positive. Then since we have discussed here, two controllers are there, one is current controller, another is voltage controller. So settling time of PI based adaptation mechanism chosen 100 times of settling time of PVVC for PV voltage controller. And proportional gain KPV KI of PI controller, from this reference we have chosen this KP, KI, zeta, omega, natural frequency. V stands for voltage. Kp, Ki, zeta, omega. Just like in the second order equation we are calculating in the control system, S square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square equal to 0. If another equation similar like this, then we may equate the coefficients. In that way, we have found out all these K values, zeta value and omega n value. So whatever we have discussed, all these equations here, 5, 6, 7, 8, all these equations, these are implemented here in the self-tuned adaptation gain based STL-BSC for photovoltaic system. Whatever this beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, beta 4, so all these are represented like this. And in the PI controller, that is Kp plus KIV by S, this is absolute function we have discussed. So this is absolute function to make K positive. And these are the, for voltage controller, these are the Kp Ki expressions. Similarly, for current controller, these are the Kp Ki expressions. And AM, BM taken this one, 143, lambda equal to 1 for this voltage controller. So coming to result, so here we have compared this our proposed controller, that is STL-BSC, with one robust nonlinear backstepping controller RNBC. This is in reference 4. So with this reference we have compared our work, and this efficacies of this proposed controller verified under different conditions such as nominal and edge desealing, that is our main aim, and also in varying irradiance and under sudden RL load local loading. So if you go for sudden local loading, sudden change in irradiance, and also when our DC-link capacitor edging is there, means initially say 1.1 millifarad, now reduced, that is capacitor reduced 0.7 millifarad. So all these situation will discuss this performance. These are the parameters, different parameters taken. These are the irradiance 1400 watt per meter square, settling time of voltage controller taken 20 millisecond and current controller 1 millisecond. Now coming to result. Here first one is the step response of PV voltage tracking under nominal and edge DC-link capacitor. See here step response of PV voltage tracking are compared with RNBC, robust nonlinear backstepping controller under both condition nominal capacitance and edge capacitance. So reference PV voltage is varied manually from 1000 to 1005. So PV voltage 1000 to 1005 reference, V reference, very 1000 to 1005. 1000 to 1005. So RNBC causes overshoot in tracking. So the red is RNBC. RNBC causes overshoot in tracking always. But STL-VSC is the solid one and black one, no overshoot. This is under nominal capacitor, means 1.1 millifarad. This result is for edge capacitor, means this V reference RNBC, STL-VSC. See, when the capacitor edge is there, means transient response obtained with RNBC vary with variation in DC-link capacitor. Means when capacitor value changes, transient response changing, but in case of STL-VSC, no change, whatever response in first case, same response second case, even if first case is for nominal capacitor, second case is for edge capacitor, but there is no change in the STL-VSC tracking, but there is change in RNBC tracking. That next is performance under irradiance. When solar irradiance vary, how our controller will respond. So say simulation starts from initial irradiance. This is 1000 watt per, this is not M2, this should be M square, meter square, 1000 watt per meter square. Later the irradiance changes to 400 watt per meter square, means initially 1000, next change to 400. So V reference changes according to MPPT after 0.8 seconds. See here 0.7, after 0.8 second, this is our V reference, dotted line is there, V reference changes. It changes and comes to that 1000, and then also here comes to 400. Both RNBC and STL-VSC tracks VMPP effectively under different irradiance. See this VMPP is this pink line. Both are combined, means they are merge each other, means both RNBC and STL-VSC tackle the situation when there is change in irradiance, so they can track effectively that VMPP even if irradiance change is there. So from this zoomed view, means now we have seen that both tracking, but if you take the zoomed view, so from the zoomed view of VPP tracking, whatever you have seen that zoomed view is also that RNBC causes more voltage ripple. See this red one, all these cases are for RNBC. So RNBC for this edge capacitor, this voltage ripple is more. See this del V is 0.42 voltage. High voltage ripple in RNBC, but here this same thing in STL-VSC, ripple is almost not there, and settling time means this V reference dot means this is the V reference dotted line. So this VPV tracking settles within 20 millisecond, very small, and no ripple, and here ripple is there using RNBC. So less voltage ripple in PV voltage reduces the distortion in grid current. See, this is our EA and this is our current. EA means whatever you have seen using RNBC, voltage has some ripple. So that ripple voltage has some ripple, means PV voltage tracking has some ripple. then there is distortion in grid current. But here ripple was less, very less, we have seen. So distortion is also less. So we can claim that less voltage ripple in PV voltage reduces distortion. Distortion is less because of less ripple in PV voltage tracking in this case. And also at low irradiance case, means when irradiance is 400 watt per meter square, at that time RNBC that 8.14 is THD, which is over this IEEE limit, that is 5. But STL BSc, both in high irradiance case, also low irradiance case, both in normal capacitor and also in edge capacitor, it constantly performing 1.52, and this is same 1.53, 3.88, 3.88. But here variation is more, and also in the low irradiance case, THD is not within the IEEE standard. This is regarding waveform of adaptation gain K of STL VSC under nominal and edge DC link. Red is for nominal, dotted is for edge DC link, and found that proposed self-tuning mechanism, that is STL VSC adaptation gain, is stable. See, the gain is stable, not oscillating, even if for nominal capacitor and for edge capacitor. That is dotted for edge, red solid for nominal. So this is the simulation result performance under local loading. Local loading means suddenly with given a load of RL load of say 2.5 kilowatt or say 2.5 kVAr at PCC at 0.75 second. Let's suddenly we have loaded this system with sudden load at the time of 0.75. Reference PV voltage is kept at 1000 volt for this study. So if at 0.75 you give a sudden loading, if this dotted line is V reference, so that means our STL-VSC proposed controller able to track PV voltage within very small amount of time, that is 24 milliseconds, even if sudden local loading is there. The time difference is very small, means within 24 milliseconds able to track VPV even if a local loading given. And this thing is for active power and reactive power. So before loading, this P load means P load is 0 up to 0.75. At 0.75 loading given. So when loading given, this P load is tackled by the P grid and P inverter remain same. And here what happened? The reactive VAR means up to 0.75 all are merging. Q load, Q inverter and Q grid all are merging. When at 0.75 if you apply load, whatever load that is tackled by the inverter, and Q grid is 0, that means unity power factor operation. So this is regarding experimental verification, means whatever control algorithm we have discussed that is implemented in FPGAs pattern 6.2 MHz. Here the grid synchronization, all the MPPT, all these things what we have discussed in controller, these things are implemented in FPGA. These are our system, and this is the experimental set of photo. So these are the power analyzer, inverter, this is the host PC. So this is the FPGA board, 3-phase grid, Spartan FPGA board, 3-phase grid taken. So here these are the data taken during the experimental work. And here we have seen that even if that is VPV always tracks, this red one is VPV reference. So VPV and tracks VPV from within this time. After that VPV tracks VPV reference. That is our objective, whether we able to track VPV with VPV reference or not. This is the proof. And IPV and IQ increasing when this tracks, this IPV and IQ increasing. And this is the figure showing that both voltage and current are at unity power factor, means grid current and PCC voltage are in phase. See, in phase operation, ABC, all phases, current and voltage are in phase. And this is regarding power quality parameter. voltage parameter THD in different phases 1.902, 2.095, 1.941, and this is the current THD, and these are the other parameter found out from power analyzer. So we have proposed a Lyapunov based adaptive controller for grid tied PV system. This adaptive controller provides the robustness against the parameter uncertainties that arise from whether it is from irradiance or from the DC link capacitor, that means whether it is normal or edge DC link capacitor. Even if whatever may be the condition, it provides robustness, this controller. So as a result, power quality and tracking performance are improved at different operating conditions, and we have seen that THD of grid current are found below 2.5% at high irradiance. So these are the references. If you have any query, you may ask.
Any queries from participation side? If you have any query, you can type in your chat box so we can discuss about it. Any queries? Okay, sir. I think there is no query from participation line, sir.
Okay, okay.
So
May I ask questions, sir?
Yes, yes.
Hello.
yes, sure.
Yes.
Sure. You please ask.
Oh, yes. Although I am not yesterday, I was not able to attend because of some emergency things, personal problem. But today, the aim of this actually, I want to learn something from these lectures that for designing a microcontroller. Okay. For the generally the MPPT controller we are talking as mostly caring about that you are talking that grid and others also. So if we are actually thinking of the full specification of the energy that being utilized, so we want actually more capacity utilization. Okay, so in that case, is there any limitations of that has been addressed in this controller, that when we are designing the DC load, so that any energy, maybe very few amount of energy we are missing, maybe that is not activated controller or charging the battery and others. So in that case, can we have that smart thing or any kind of thing in your controller design that is capable of taking all the minimum energies to convert it to the either to carry on to the load or to convert it to the any other level, so that any amount of energy I should not be like uh, expected that it be there.
So actually this is regarding whatever you are talking about, this is regarding power management. Means if our this much our load power is more, then our generating power is this much, then who will take this or who will provide? If our generation is more, then load is less, then who will take that power? So all these things will come under this power management. So this we have fixed a tutorial section tomorrow in the 11:30, and that is with my PhD scholar, that is power management in a microgrid. So where PV is there, then the energy sources such as batteries there, supercapacitor is there. So how to manage the load? If this much amount is the excess load, if this much amount of is the surplus load, then who will take, who will provide? All these things we will cover tomorrow in the tutorial session, that is at 11:10.
And regarding energy, actually, in terms of energy, I am thinking also. So if in the morning time, say from 6 or 7 to 9 or 10, there is some energy which are being not used up by the system, maybe sometimes.
Yes.
So there are some smart controller, they are coming up with different components that it is being smart and otherwise. So how do I simply can incorporate some intelligence so that
Yes.
my MPP will be smart enough to make the power as well as the full utilization of the energy that I am talking about.
Yes, that is actually, this is regarding the source side and demand side management. So means, for example, if I'm taking for example, if we are using a washing machine in the time of say 10 or 11 a.m. in the morning, at that time if tariff is more, then we may switch over its use maybe in the night time, so that you may lose your comfort but tariff may be less. So all these thing is under this supply and demand side management. Actually, this
Okay.
thing we are doing this thing in one of our project, but this thing in our this course we have not put regarding supply and demand side management. We have not touched this thing. We are
Actually,
doing
I
this
am
thing.
talking about so the solar fraction ratio to be increased, the irradiation to load ratio. That is, whatever be the irradiation it is coming, am I
Yes.
be able to able to supply all the energy? I am not talking about the actually management also, you will be under this purview. But the thing is, I want to access or utilize the whole energy that we are getting, maybe sometimes minimum and diffused energy also, that I want to actually apply, implement in the system. That is
Yeah,
my objective.
that is one area of research also, means how to give fullest amount, whatever you are
Fullest
getting. Yeah, yeah. So
available,
yeah.
solar fraction available at that point.
Yes, yes. So actually in this course, that part we have not taken into account. So here mainly we have focused on this forecasting and management and also EV part. And what you are talking about, that is how to use the fullest amounts, means this thing we have not covered in this course, means in this short
Okay.
course. Yeah.
Okay, and I have also lately joined. So one thing you were talking that you were estimating or forecasting. So
Yes.
in your MPPT controller, it is a forecasting software also you have incorporated.
In MPPT, forecasting is not implemented. Forecasting is implemented for this forecasting of solar irradiance, not in the MPPT, irradiance part. And
Okay, okay.
how it is implemented, so you have to consider, you have to model that KT model that I have discussed, how to model that KT. If modeling of KT is more accurate, then our this forecasting is more accurate. So this thing I've already discussed. So this part we have solar, and that too this is regarding a model based irradiance. And another irradiance more accurate solar irradiance forecasting is image based. So that also I have not given this slide, that is image based irradiance, means if the now at this point of time, if this is the solar image, this is the cloud condition, if the cloud will move at this rate, means after some time how much is the cloud movement and which part of the cloud will cover the sun, so that how much is the irradiance. So that is using that image processing technique we can
Okay,
that
okay.
forecasting.
That
So
is
I have already worked this thing also, but here I have not presented.
okay. Oh,
Hello.
a very good idea I am gaining from this your
Yes.
talk. That is one forecasting. If it is been implemented in the MPPT, then MPPT will taking care of that forecasting. Taking that, it will be setting its pulse with or
Yes.
what
Yes.
they are setting. Pulse width they
Actually,
are
actually,
setting.
actually, the project is just like I have not given the whole structure of the project. Means the project is just like we have to implement our power quality improvement. We have to implement in power management. We have to implement forecasting. We have to implement demand side management. All these things, so many problems clubbed together. What are the different problems associated with the microgrid? So many problems are there. This is a combined whole project. So this is one of the part of the project, forecasting.
Very happy that you are doing this kind of thing, and in future our students, and if we are can collaborate with that in terms of that, because we are from microelectronics and VLSI technology, although but we are somehow I am also like conducting one project regarding the forecasting of climate and climate study that you are talking about. That is the climate forecasting of kind of like irradiation model that you are talking about, model based irradiation, that is the deterministic model, or you are talking the hybrid model
This
or
is a
data
stochastic
driven
model.
model?
Means since KT is highly stochastic, so using signal processing we have developed this model. And I have already told this. Another thing is that using image model, that is image processing, that is a little bit more complex. And that type of work I have done in during my postdoc. That image processing, how to forecast the solar irradiance using image processing technique.
Okay, this is signal processing in
This is
terms
signal
of
processing.
like some part is deterministic, some part you have model. Now fully you have model from data.
That is KT part model. That KT part model and H0 you are calculating. The two parts are there, KT and H0. One part we are calculating from the model and another from signal processing techniques we are finding out.
One thing is, again, please repeat this portion.
Actually, this is having two part. One is I have already discussed. One is KT, finding out KT value. Another is finding out H0, extraterrestrial insolation. That H0 we can find out using the existing model. So what are the different parameters that I have discussed? For a particular location, for a particular day, you can find out H0 from that model. And for determining KT, we have discussed this signal processing, different signal processing or system identification technique for this finding out the unknown parameter. From that, we'll find out that KT. That KT plays a vital role in the insolation determination.
KT means the air quality index, that is the
clearness index
you are getting.
That is atmospheric effect taken into account, that factor.
Okay, atmospheric. So that means your extraterrestrial part is the deterministic part, because it is at the extraterrestrial region, this is almost fixed. So the atmospheric part, yes, that is the hybrid model. Okay, thank you. We are also doing, yes, we are doing, trying to do the statistical model. So we are analyzing the data of that. Not only KT, I am talking about also the diffuse radiation. Also, I want to explore. And the maximum amount of energy, if we can estimate that what any position, if it is possible, and that is hardware implemented you have done, or it is just model based, you have implemented in MATLAB.
Actually, what this is model based, we have implemented taking the data. But regarding this image processing technique, we have already installed this sky imager that is done at NTU. That NTU University sky imager we have already installed. Each 30 seconds we have captured the image. Taking this image we have analyzed and we have forecasted what is the insolation. That is purely hardware. We have installed that hardware.
Okay, that is very interesting. So we are joining, I think, whenever I am available, I will be joining. And really sorry for that, because some emergency problem has come yesterday. I have got, yes. I will be with you, no problem. I think you will be happy to some connection with us also. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any other queries from participants end? Okay, so we are already okay, so I hope there is no such queries from that participants end. So if